Hey, this is Tony with Salt Strong, and in this video we're going to be talking about braided line color and does it really make a difference? This is a big question we get a lot in our community and also from some of our other followers. You know, should I go with a yellow line? Should I go with green? Will that blend in better with the surroundings? And the truth is the braided line really doesn't matter to the fish. It's more for the angler, because when we're fishing inshore, we're typically using leader material at the end of our line for a few reasons. Number one, being that the leader is going to act as a shock absorber, because braided line does not have any stretch. So you need that stretch on the leader, whether it be mono or fluoro, so that you don't pull hooks or break your line when you go set the hook or miss a strike when you go to set the hook. So that's one reason why you're going to want to use leader. The next reason is for abrasion resistance. Believe it or not, braided line, this is a common misconception. Braided line has very minimal abrasion resistance compared to fluorocarbon or monofilament, whichever you prefer to go with. That's your personal choice. There's a lot of debate about that, but abrasion resistance would be second for leader material. And then lastly, because your leader is closest to the lure, that's basically going to be almost invisible to the fish. So your braid really shouldn't be anywhere near the fish when you're retrieving your lure, or if you have a bait sitting on the bottom. The braided line color really doesn't matter when it comes to that. Now, I've seen some really big fish get caught on lines that you would think would spook the fish. You know, yellow braided line, white braided line, neon green braided line. But like I said, the fish really only sees what is closest to their food, you know, the lure, the bait you're using, because of that, you know, clear leader material. That's what's going to be most important to the fish. And the braid is most important to the angler as a visual reference. Now, what I mean by this is you want to be able to know where your line's at. For example, if you're fishing during the day, a white line can be a little bit easier to see. Also, I personally prefer to use moss green, and there's all different shades of the green color. You have sort of a off-colored green there. You also have a lighter colored green right here. And I even like to use gray, a dark gray or an onyx color as well. And that's just my personal preference. I don't really fish at night. If you're fishing at night, you would want to go with something high visibility, such as yellow or green, or even you know, like a blue color. And if you do fish at night as well, those fluorescent colors can actually be better seen if you have an ultraviolet light with you while you're fishing. So that is really why the braid is more for the angler. It's more of a visual reference for the angler as opposed to the fish. Now, one last thing about braided lines. Some braided lines actually have sort of a camo pattern on them. You know, you'll take the line out and it'll transition from one color to another color. And it's usually, you know, spread out at a certain distance. And what that's for, I'll go ahead and show you here. This is an older Daiwa conventional reel here. But you can see the line goes from a yellow to a green. And the reason behind that is to know how much line you have out. So you can actually count how much line you have out based on how many times you see the color transition from one to another as you're letting line out, either bottom fishing or trolling. So again, that's another nice visual reference of the color on braided fishing line. Now, after watching this video, if you're still kind of unsure that braided line won't spook fish depending on the color, I would really recommend going with that green color if you're fishing inshore flats, you know, where you have seagrass and muddy bottom, or even, you know, marsh creeks that have the same type of colored bottom, that darker bottom. I would go with, you know, that green color, that green colored braid, or even a darker gray color, because it does blend in better with the seagrass and things like that. But the truth is, the fish is going to, if your line goes close to the fish is going to actually feel your line before it actually sees it. So that's one thing about braid, is that it's super thin, especially fishing inshore. I only use about 10 pound, and because it's thin, it doesn't create that much of a disturbance in the water. So again, my opinion, the color really doesn't matter. Now, this is definitely up for discussion, so definitely let me know what you think in the comments down below about braided color, braided line color. Do you think it matters or not? And lastly, if you're having trouble actually catching fish in your area, whether it be from Texas all the way up to Virginia, I'd highly recommend checking out our Salt Strong Insider Club, where we guarantee you'll start catching more fish in less time. Also, if you need some lures to help stock up your tackle box, I would recommend checking out our offer that we have going on right now, where you can get 11 of our lures for just 1 penny. So definitely be sure to take advantage of that at 11lures.com.